I'm headed to the grocery store soon this morning, and I've got Olive sitting here with me. Say hey, Olive. She is just snoozing. So this video is going to be about prepping, and I've never done a video about prepping before. I never talked about it on the channel before. So before I get into this video, I do just want to state that this is not about politics. I don't want to talk about politics. I mean, it has nothing to do with that. So why am I thinking about prepping? So I've been thinking about prepping for, honestly, it's been in my head for the last 5 or 6 years, you know, and when I lived with Mom and Dad, we definitely were prepping some, and they still are, but now that I have my own house, I'm thinking about how I could prep for Austin and I, and how I could just be better prepared. Now, I'm not saying that like a super big disaster is going to happen or anything like that, but we've definitely experienced shortages in the last 2 years, and if you turn on the news, social media, whatever, you not only hear about shortages, but I see them with my own eyes. I don't have to have the news or social media to tell me that there's shortages when you walk in the store and the shelves are empty, and that's scary. And to me, I think prepping is necessary, but it's also very scary because I think, you know, what could happen. And in the past, I think that I just wanted to block it out and not even talk about prepping and think about it when Mom and Dad would bring it up, because then that kind of makes it more real. But it's important to be prepared. And I think you can also go about prepping in a smart way. So when I go to the store, I want to look at some rice, some beans, maybe some like canned vegetables. All of that could be stuff that I could eat. So if I'm mindful about the expiration date, and 2 years from now when the food's about to expire, if nothing bad has happened and I don't need to save it, I can eat that and then replace it with some new that I can buy. And then I think there's also the knowledge aspect. So when I think about prepping, you know, I hope that like some kind of bad disaster never happens, or even any kind of shortages, although the shortages have already happened. But you don't want to go to the grocery store and not have things there that you need. And when you think about prepping, you know, you think about it could be like a natural disaster to where you can't leave your house. It could be like an EMP, which I hope never happens. That would be so scary. And if it was an EMP, then you would have no electricity. You'd have just nothing. Your cars wouldn't work unless you had like a really old car, and you'd just be kind of in a bad way. So not only would it be helpful to have things put away, but even if you had the money and the space to buy 500 cans of soup, they're not going to last forever. 25 years from now, you're not going to be eating those cans of soup because they're going to be rancid and you're not going to be able to eat them. So, you know, growing your own food, canning your own food. And if something did happen to where you had no power, how would you quickly save the food you did have? You would have to can it. Do you have enough jars? Do you have the place to store them? All of those kind of things. And even soap. Of course, I think about soap because I make soap. I have a lot of oils and lye, but that's not going to make soap for my family and I forever. And if this is just a situation, if you didn't have power, I couldn't use an emulsion mixer and I would have to do it by hand, and that would take ages. So how would you make soap then? Well, you would make it the old-fashioned way with an ash hopper. You would have to make an ash hopper, but basically you would take ashes from hardwoods. You don't want resinous woods. From hardwoods, and then you would want to mix it with some kind of animal fat, tallow, lard. Then you'd have to have an animal. And if you didn't have an animal, you would have to know someone who would be willing to let you take the fat from, you know, the animal that they had slaughtered. So I know this sounds crazy, but these are just all things that I think of. And it's scary. It's scary to think about prepping and think about not having the things that you need, but I'm just trying to be prepared for kind of anything that comes my way, and being prepared and having that confidence of feeling like, okay, I could handle this, that really cuts down on the fear. And I'm not saying that like I could totally handle whatever situation, because I don't necessarily feel like that, but even just buying 5 extra cans of something at the grocery store can at least help ease your mind, and at least you're doing something. And I want to stay on budget. I don't have bukus of money to throw at buying a bunch of supplies that I may or may not ever have to use. So in one way, there's the argument of, you know, hey, if you're spending your money and your time and your energy worrying about this now and something may never happen, but then what if it did happen and you weren't prepared? So those thoughts go through my mind as well. But as far as food-wise, it doesn't hurt to just buy 5 extra cans. If you're at the grocery store, pick up 5 cans of beans or some rice, or canned vegetables, whatever it is that's at least somewhat shelf stable. And if COVID taught us anything, I think it taught us how fragile the supply chains are, and that it doesn't have to be like a mega disaster for you to not be able to get stuff. It can just be a virus. It can be a simple breakdown in supply and demand, whatever it is. If it can't get to the grocery store, then you can't buy it. And I think that it would benefit all of us to think about, okay, how can we be prepared when whatever situation arises? Because, you know, in the last, I don't know, 100, 200 years, people don't farm as much anymore and slaughter their own hogs and all this stuff because we all go to the grocery store, me included. That's where I'm going, so that's fine. But it pays to just kind of think about it and be prepared, I think. So this corn is actually cheaper than some of the other ones, even though it's organic, so I'm getting that. I'm gonna get like 3 things of corn, maybe some peas. Also gonna get carrots because I like carrots. Maybe get 3 of those. I don't know about the potatoes, y'all. I don't think I can do potatoes in a can. Now, if I was starving to death, maybe, but hopefully by then I would have figured out how to grow my own potatoes. So I'm gonna get some diced tomatoes. I think I'm gonna get 2 of those. And I'm gonna get some tomato paste for good measure. So I got my stuff from the grocery store and got the rice and the beans and the lentils back there, and I'm gonna put it in the cabinet. Comment below and let me know what you think. If you're prepping, let me know any kind of tips or anything like that that you have, because I am by no means a expert at this. I'm really just starting out. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and I'll catch you at the next video.